I've spent the last 10 years obsessing over how to create wealth. I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on courses, read 50 plus books on money, and made plenty of stupid mistakes, so you don't have to. Many people want to be financially free in their 20s, but they are building wealth in the wrong order, and I was one of them. Today I'll show you the ultimate wealth blueprint I wish I had known earlier, built on 4 levels and 12 principles. And towards the end, I'll share with you a bonus lesson that I paid $130,000 to learn from my mentor in China. Hi, my name is Edric. I was born in Singapore and I grew up in a family that struggled financially. And I went from a broke kid who struggled in school with ADHD to now running a high 7-figure sales agency and becoming a multi-millionaire in my 20s. Before we start, it's important to note you can apply any of these principles right away, but prioritize them in order because it's like a building. You gotta have a strong foundation first, and each level only works as well as the level beneath it. Most people jump straight to the top and focus on investing and passive income, then wonder why they're stuck. Yes, you can do that and still retire in your 60s, but this is for people who want to be financially free in their 20s. Let's get into it. Level 1, mindset. The reason many people stay broke is because of the beliefs and habits they have about money. And even if you got millions tomorrow, you could still lose everything because more money doesn't fix mindset, it amplifies it. That's why some lottery winners and even people who win big in crypto and meme coins end up losing everything again. And most of us learn our money mindset from 2 places, our parents and school. School doesn't teach you how to build wealth, and if your parents aren't financially free, you probably inherited some of their poor money beliefs too. That's why we start here. So here's the first mindset shift. Commit to becoming wealthy. In the book Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill talks about writing this thing called your definite chief aim. The exact number you want and a plan you'll take to earn it, then reading it every morning and night with emotion until you achieve it. Now it may seem weird at first, but the more you do it, the more your desire builds up, and because our thoughts have power, what we think of dominantly will manifest into reality. It's basically a mini goal setting that gets you locked in, and I've used it to achieve every single money goal that I have. Now this video is about an overview of the full wealth sequence. If you want a step-by-step guide for setting goals properly, I've put a goal setting template in the description, and do subscribe as I'll do a video on this in the future. But why is it important to be committed? Because society will think of 101 ways to condemn you for wanting to be rich and make you seem weird. They'll say things like, oh, money isn't important, they'll complain about their work, then they'll go back to work the next day and work exactly for money. Or they'll say rich people are evil, and my honest thought is, what good can you do if you're broke? Isn't it worse? And that's why if you don't have a strong reason, you'll be easily influenced. You need to be committed that you'll be wealthy in this lifetime and own it as an identity. For me, it became personal during the 2008 financial crisis. I saw how money disrupted the harmony at home. So at 16, I decided that in this lifetime, I will be wealthy because I know I can change 3 generations. My parents, myself, and my future family. And having a strong reason and being committed is the most important because financially free people aren't always the smartest, they are the ones who just don't quit. Principle 2, change your environment. James Clear said it best, environment is the invisible hand that shapes human behavior. When I was a young adult, it was normal for my peers to make 3 to 4K at 25 after we graduate from university. However, when I entered a sales environment, the normal completely changed. In that world, it was normal for an 18-year-old to earn a graduate's pay. It was normal for people in their early 20s to hit their 5 figures a month. And because my reality box started to change, I made my first 5 figures a month at 21 as well. However, the same environment also normalized smoking, drinking, and taking abusive substances. People around me did it casually, nobody questioned about it, and because it was normal, I started doing it as well. Not because I was a bad person, but because I adapted to the standards around me. One of my friends who had a bright future lost his life due to drugs, and the only mistake he made was being in the wrong environment. Thankfully, I had a brother that showed me better habits, better discipline, and a different way of living, and he pulled me out from all these bad habits. And a huge reason why I became a multi-millionaire in my 20s is because of him. He did it in his 20s as well, and I got to see what he actually looked like up close. So be very particular with who you surround yourself with. Find people that stretches you, inspires you, makes you better. Unfollow accounts that don't serve you, and cut away people that drains you or doesn't serve you in your life. And if you're thinking, Edric, these are some of my friends, I get it. I'm not saying hate on them, I'm saying you must protect your future. Many of my friendships didn't last eventually as I've outgrown them, and I learned that the only way friendship sustains long term is if you have shared values and goals. And when you grow better, you will find better people with better values along the way. Principle 3, stop playing the victim. When I was younger, I used to be a very negative individual that complained about my life situation. I resented my family, I blamed everybody around me, and I started making excuses when I'm not winning in life. Then my mentor told me something that hit me till today. He said, Edric, there is no such thing as a rich victim. And I realized that the reason why I was stuck is because I just made my life dependent on others changing first. I get it. Many of us weren't born into the best family, you didn't get the best start, some of you went through genuinely unfair things. But here's the truth. The moment you blame and make excuses, you hand your power away. And the day when you realize that no one is coming to save you is the day your life will become better. Look at the people who made it in life. Many of them had it even worse. Oprah Winfrey came from poverty, had a very bad childhood, and today she's one of the first female African billionaire. Nick Vujicic was born without limbs and still became a millionaire and built a global movement. Manny Pacquiao grew up in extreme poverty in the Philippines and he became a world champion. Jensen Huang, who was an immigrant kid who worked his way up, built Nvidia into a global giant and changing his family's life. Poor people keep asking, why is this happening to me? Whose fault is it? Whereas wealthy people ask, what can I learn from this and what can I do from here? Now that we settled the most important level, let's go on to level 2, making your first pot of gold, i.e. your earning ability. Now, I'm not saying that it's not important to save and invest, but here's an illustration of why earning ability is the most important. Okay, if you look at scenario A, assuming you make 5k a month and if you can save 50%, it will take you 33 years and 4 months to hit your first $1 million net worth. Yes, but investing it and getting a return of 10% a year, it has significantly reduced the timing to 14 years and 9 months. But as you can see, the greatest lever happens when you increase your earning ability. In scenario F, when you earn a monthly income of 20k and even if you spend 5k a month, it will only take you 5 years to 7 months to become a millionaire. And that's exactly why I created this money order, because logically, when your mindset improves, you execute better and make more. And when you make more, you get to manage money more and save more. And when you save more, you actually have more bullets to invest and multiply it. Principle 4, building a variable income. Now you have to first understand that the idea of studying hard, going to a good university and getting a good job will only make you a fixed income and that will never make you rich. However, I'm not asking you to quit your job or school because that fixed income is needed to give you this thing called security. And through a fixed income, what you want to build is 6 months of emergency funds and making sure that you bought insurance to protect yourself for the future and buy this thing called a peace of mind. And how to know what is 6 months of emergency funds? You take the expenses that you spend every single month and you multiply it by 6. And you never ever quit your school or job unless your variable income can replace your fixed income. For me, for example, I only took a gap year because I was making a graduate pay before I went to university. And that turned out really well for me and I didn't look back since. Your 8 to 5, you work on a fixed income and you work for survivor. Your 7 to 11, you work on a high income skill. And the key thing to take note is do not work harder for your boss than you work on yourself. Principle 5, learning a high income skill. To make a variable income, you got to possess a high income skill. If you look at most people, they make money from neck down, trading their time for money. But if you look at the world's wealthiest people, they make money from neck up. Number 1, either using their brain to solve a problem, or number 2, using their mouth to influence, communicate, and to sell. And before I talk about how we choose what income skills to learn, I want to share with you guys the concept of a runway. Now imagine that you're driving a plane and in order for the plane to take off, the plane must have a long enough runway for it to accumulate speed and momentum to propel itself up the sky. And without the long runway, it will crash and everything will fail. Now, before I started making my first graduate pay, it took me 1 year of hard work before I had a breakthrough. So the first criteria in choosing a high income skill is that you must choose skills that can be learned with zero capital and low risk. The mistake that I see many people making is that they go and borrow money from their friends and family, they start a traditional business like a cafe, end up losing everything and getting into a huge debt. And I will also discourage people from going into trading, dropshipping and e-commerce because all these side hustles require you to have money to make money. What I would encourage instead is for people to go into sales and marketing or service-based businesses. These side hustles that don't require any money. Okay, and regardless of which trade you choose, focus on one skill long enough so that you become a master in it, because the market will reward people that are professionals. So when I was 19 years old, on top of my full-time commitment, I chose to master the art of selling. And after 2 years later, I was making 20k a month at 21 years old. It might sound very glamorous and whatnot, but you have to understand that I was putting in at least 6 to 7 hours a day on top of my full-time commitment So don't expect yourself to have any balance when you first start. And don't expect it to be easy, but as long as you keep going and you keep improving, you'll become better. Principle 6, find apprenticeship. Yes, you can learn a high income skill by teaching yourself on YouTube, by paying for courses, but if you ask me, the best way to learn is on the job. If you want to master the art of selling, join a company and find the right mentor that is willing to mentor you and you can shadow them. If you want to learn content creation, find a successful content creation company and just work in the company. If you want to be a fitness coach, work for the fitness coach and to just shadow under the fitness coach. Right? You can shortcut your success if you have a good mentor and if you can have the exposure on what is the right standards. Instead of paying to learn, you're getting paid to learn. If you're someone who is looking to master the art of selling, to be in a sales role where you're pushed, rewarded and stretched, our wait list for our sales mentorship in 2026 is now open, so check out the link in our bio to find out more. Level 3, managing your money. Mike Tyson is one of the most famous and successful boxers of all time, and he has reportedly earned hundreds of millions of dollars in his career, but in 2003 he filed for bankruptcy and he found out that he was in 23 million in debt. And he is just one of many examples of people who has gained millions of dollars yet being unable to keep it. And this shows that earning money is not enough. We must learn how to manage it. And this brings me to principle number 7, living below your means. Robert Kiyosaki has given a formula to achieve financial freedom where your passive income has to be more than your expenses. And the way to do it is to continuously buy assets and cut liabilities. Assets are things that build you up and give you cash flow in the long term, whereas liabilities are things that eats you up and removes cash flow from you in the long term. Poor people treat liabilities like assets and assets like liabilities. When I was 23 years old, after making my first 300,000 pot of gold, I recalled that I bought a Mercedes convertible before I got my driving license. And the reason why I wanted to buy that is because I wanted to look rich and I wanted people to think that I made it in life. Now looking back, that was one of the worst financial decisions I could have made, because if you include the installment, the down payment, petrol, parking, insurance, and the road tax, I spent a total of $200,000 over the past 6 years. And did I only lose $200,000? No, because had I put that amount into an asset like S&P 500, it would have been worth $600,000 today. Now that I'm older and wealthier, I lead a much simpler life because I know that the best thing that money can buy is a peace of mind and freedom. When I was younger, my goal is to look rich, and now that I'm older, my goal is to be wealthy. Principle 8, know your numbers clearly. If you look at someone physically, you can pretty much tell if the person is fat or skinny, but the problem with money is that you can't tell. The only way to tell is by someone's balance sheet and cash flow statement. And if you do not know where you clearly stand in life financially, you have a hard time improving it. As the saying goes, you cannot improve what you can't measure. So what is a balance sheet? A balance sheet is just a summary of all of the assets and liabilities that you have in your life. And if you take the assets to minus your liabilities, you can get an accurate estimation of your net worth. What is your cash flow statement? A cash flow statement is simply the total number of cash inflow that you have minusing the cash outflow that you have. So if you want to be financially free, you need to update your balance sheet once every quarter, and on top of that, you must make sure you track your expenses every single month. I have an expense tracker that I track every single month. It's based on the fixed payments that I need to do, and there are many apps out there where you can use to track the more impromptu payments. And what you want to do is to train your mind right to be intentional about the money that you're spending. Principle 9, choosing the right life partner. The 3 most important decisions in your life is number 1, who you choose as friends, number 2, what you do for work, and number 3, who you choose as a life partner. Johnny Depp, one of the most famous Hollywood actors, reportedly made more than $500 million in his career, but got into very serious financial situation because of his lawsuit with Amber Heard, which is his partner. I have heard of many cases where a relationship really dragged someone down in their life. And I know of many business owners and wealthy people who got affected very badly because of the wrong partner they chose in life. For me, I'm very grateful for my wife because number 1, whenever I go home, she's someone that gives me a lot of peace. She supports me in my business and career. And she's so frugal to the point where I have to convince her to spend my money. Something that really helped me find the right partner is that I actually listed down the ideal characteristics that I look for before I got attached. So I wrote, my partner has to be filial to her parents, she has to be joyful, she has to be someone that is understanding, support me in my dream. So I wrote down many different types of characteristics, and when you are clear of what you want in life, God or the universe will put a person in your life. Level 4, multiply. Warren Buffett has this very famous quote. He said that if you don't find a way to make money while you're asleep, you will have to work until you die. So if you want to multiply your money, you have to understand the concept of leverage. All of us have only 24 hours in a day, and if you only can make money trading time for money, there will not be any skill. And understanding leverage allows you to scale your time exponentially. And there are 4 ways to do it: through people, media, software, and capital. In 2025 alone, I traveled to more than 10 other countries, and the reason why I could do that is because number 1, my businesses can run without me, because I have created the systems and hired the right people to run it for me. And at the same time, I record videos such that even when I'm asleep, it is still being watched by hundreds of thousands of people every single month. I also incorporate AI into my business, and I invest my money such that it grows by itself. And here are the 3 most important principles when it comes to growing your money. Principle 10, protect your capital. It is important to protect your capital because once you get wiped out, the game is over. Charlie Mungo thinking is simple. He said, all I want to know is where people are dying, so I don't go there. In money terms, where people die is usually the following scenarios: leveraging, taking margins, or just borrowing to invest. Investing in money you can't afford to lose, buying things you don't understand, chasing hype like meme coins, random small caps or early IPOs, or just anything that sounds too good to be true. And one of the worst things you can do is to lend money to your friends and call it an investment. These are all wipeout moves. They create permanent loss, and then you lose the hidden killer, opportunity cost. Because you didn't just lose money, you lost what you could have compounded into for the next 5 to 20 years. So before you chase returns, avoid wipeout zones and protect your capital. Principle 11, diversification. This is very important because even a high win rate bet can still kill you if you go all in. Let's say you found a bet with an 80% win rate. Sounds amazing, right? But there's still a chance that you lose in the 20%. So if you put all your eggs into one basket, that 20% outcome can wipe you out. But if you split your money into 10 bullets, you don't need perfection. Even if few of these bets lose, you'll still be alive, and overall, you're way more likely to come out ahead. This is the difference between being right once versus being right over time. Diversification doesn't remove risk, it removes fragility. So for me, I personally invest in many different vehicles. I invest in properties, I invest in crypto, in stocks, and in businesses. Yeah, so there isn't one scenario where my entire portfolio gets wiped out. Unless the earth explodes, I will still be wealthy. So don't bet your whole future on one investment. Spread your bullets so you can win over the long run. Principle 12, extend your time horizon. A longer time horizon wins because compounding will take time and most people quit too early. They overestimate how much they can win in 1 year and yet underestimate how much they can do in 5, 10 and 20. An example is the S&P 500. It has historically returned more than 10% year on year over a long period of time. Compounding looks negligible at first because the base is small, but later it snowballs and the last few years can add more than the first decade. So many people think that in order for you to get wealthy, you need to find investments that can 2x, 3x, 10x or even 20x. And I get it. People say things like if you invested in Tesla, Bitcoin 10 years ago, you have landed a multiple 100x or even 1000x. But the truth is, the probability of you finding the next Tesla and Bitcoin, right, is very, very low. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. Just to give you some context, there are over 44,000 listed companies in the world, and there are more than 19,000 coins in the crypto exchange. 95% of these coins and listed companies end up going to nothing. And this is what we call hindsight bias. The reason why people want to find a 50x, 100x investment is because of this word called greed. Wanting something without putting the cost and effort. And trust me, the reason people get scammed or lose money is precisely because of greed. They want to receive the price without paying the price. You have to understand that there is no such thing as trading nothing for something. To find the best companies, you need to put in a lot of due diligence and work. To be earning more in the marketplace, you need to give value to your clients and the people out there. So for me, I don't need to find the next 2x, 3x, 10x or 20x. All I want is to just grow my money by 10 to 20% every single year consistently, prevent mistakes that will wipe me out, and let compound effect do the work. And just to give you an illustration, if you look at this scenario where you start making 20k a month, and let's assume that you are capped at 20k a month earning, okay, and you can save 4k a month and you invest the rest such that it grows in a percentage of 10% a year. As you can see, this is the time needed for you to become a millionaire, and 10, 20, 30 years later, you'll be very, very, very wealthy. And that's the power of the ultimate wealth blueprint. So in conclusion, fix your mindset first and understand how the wealthy people think. Then use it to build your earning ability, preferably more than 20k a month, and live below your means such that you have a considerable amount to invest in assets, and let your money compound 10-20% every single year, and you'll be very, very, very wealthy. As promised, here's one bonus lesson that I learned from my mentor in China. Bonus lesson 1, the true riches in life. He shared with me this quote in Chinese. 智慧是拿那些带不走的，换那些带得走的；愚蠢是拿那些带得走的，换那些带不走的。And to translate, One day when we leave this world, we can't take our wealth with us. What we take, depending on what you believe, is our karma, our spiritual riches, and our soul. Some people get rich the wrong way through unethical processes, harming others and selling their soul. And like the Bible says, what's the point of gaining the whole world but losing your soul? So yes, it's our birthright to be rich, it's important to be wealthy, but it cannot be the only goal in life. Money is a good slave, but a bad master. The wisest and the wealthiest people that I know don't just build material riches, they build spiritual riches too. And like what my mentor say, what he do is he 把福报当成事业. He treat blessings and good deeds like a life's work. For me, that means providing for my parents, giving back to the community, giving back to my team, doing what I love, and using my gifts to impact others. That's why I started sharing about money on TikTok and conducted sessions for thousands of young adults, and now doing YouTube. My life changed for the better because God placed a rich brother in my life, and now I want to be that rich brother for you. I hope this video has impacted you and may you be the first person in your bloodline to be financially free. If you like what I learned from my mentor in China, I recorded a more detailed video going deep into the most valuable lessons I learned from him. See you there.